else to do, we take another lap around. Yeah, holla at your boy if you need a ride. If you roll with me, yeah, you know we rollin' high. Upon them 37 needles, windows tinted, hard to see though. How fresh my baby is in the shotgun seat though. Them kisses are for me though, automatic like a free throw.
What was you doing on Wednesday, May the 11th, 2016? You should have been doing this, because it was National Foam Rolling Day. So why would you do something like this in public? I think there's probably only three reasons why. One, you believe that it's going to improve the quality of the physical structure and quality of the thing that you're rolling. Two, you probably believe that it's going to improve the performance of what that thing does in what you're about to do in a workout or some form of performance. Or the third one, perhaps you're going to try and reduce an unpleasant sensation that you're feeling in the thing that you're rolling in terms of pain, or maybe improving its structure in terms of rehabilitation. That's the only reason why I'd use it, isn't it? So this isn't always called foam rolling. In fact, a lot of people want to call it myo-fascial release, and it's always associated with similar terms and language like adhesions and trigger spots and fibrous bands and sometimes lactic acid, and all those things get bandied around. In fact, if you Google foam rolling benefits of first page, deep compression helps to break up or relax tight muscles and adhesions formed between muscle layers and their surroundings. Imagine you are tenderizing your own muscles. They should be soft and supple like a baby's muscles. However, if our muscles are not taken care of properly, we can experience loss of flexibility, adhesions, and painful movement. Google is one of the scariest places on earth. Bacon is one of nature's gifts, and I've just sacrificed a bit to make a point. Don't go tenderising muscles. It's a ridiculous, non-scientific concept. I spent half my life trying to stop people tenderising their muscles. So, what exactly is happening when we use a foam roller? Are we stripping out adhesions, breaking them down? Are we switching off trigger points? Are we improving lymphatic drainage? All these things are said. Actually, the one thing we know that we are doing is we are compressing tissue. That's the only thing we know we are doing when we're foam rolling. We don't actually know a lot about the rolling effect. It's quite obvious. I am compressing tissue. In fact, what you're doing is you're getting a relatively hard surface, the foam roller, and another very hard surface, a bone, and you've got something soft in between, the myo-fascial, neural, whatever it is, tissue, because it's going to be everything in between the two, getting compressed. And boy, sometimes that hurts. I am yet to find anybody at all who finds rolling their ITB pain-free. 100% of people I've worked with find it painful. Therefore, it must be normal. It just hurts. So exactly what is happening? I'm going to put some links, it'll be down below or wherever you're seeing this video, to a great article which really summarises the research in this area. But from my perspective, let's look at it from those three things that we listed, and we'll talk about mobility, flexibility first. So, am I going to make my muscle more flexible by rolling it? Am I going to break down these so-called adhesions in the fascia? Listen, before myofascia, or the fascia word, became so popular, it was called connective tissue. It was an example of connective tissue, and the clue is in the name. It connects things throughout the whole of the human body. And if you connect things, they have to be attached. And they don't have to be attached to A and B, they can be attached all the way through the journey from A to B. In fact, our fascia probably is attached from our toes to our tongue, as people tell us, through various multiple connections. If I've seen photos of these adhesions, and you probably have on the internet, they're all over. And what you'll see is you'll see the connective tissue and you'll see some sort of tendril or something, and that's the adhesion. Well, why shouldn't it be there? Why shouldn't there be little connections dotted all the way around my arm to envelop it and so that the fascia can work as a unit to produce support? So I'm not convinced by the adhesion argument and breaking them down, and the research isn't either. What about compression? Because we know that is the only thing, kind of scientifically, that foam rolling does. It compresses tissue. And there might be something in it, because these tissues are full of nerve endings and little sort of organs. They've got great names: Pacini corpuscles, Ruffini nerve endings. They're fantastic things, and they give feedback to the brain. They tell the brain exactly what the muscle is doing, how much load and force is going through it, what shape it's in, how long it is, how short it is. And compression batters them. And when you batter them, they get really excited and they kind of fire off. And they fire off first into the spinal cord, and we have reflexes in our spinal cord. And the boffins suggest that these reflexes then suppress muscle tension, or the tone that's within the muscle. The reason being is because the muscle believes it's under threat and it doesn't want to tear itself apart by contracting really hard. So maybe we get a short period of time of potential muscle relaxation. Now, what the compression also does is produce stretch tolerance. Now, that's a strange thing because it could be subjective. My stretch tolerance could be different to yours. But this battering effect and this feedback loop that we get convinces the higher centre, the brain, that there's a sensation of greater stretch tolerance. And that probably does work. It allows you then to go into a flexibility session and push that flexibility stretch a little bit further. Not into a dangerous state, the body wouldn't let you do that, but you probably do achieve a slightly greater range of movement. So that could be beneficial. So what does that mean in practical terms? Well, I have typical overactive, oversensitive lumbar extensors which hold back my lumbar flexion. So I regularly do lumbar flexion stretching, and before I do that, I get out the foam roller's little friend, the spiky ball, and I give my mechanoreceptors a damn good battering. And then I go straight into my stretch, because the science, which isn't very quotable, suggests that we should be doing this within 45 seconds of giving them the good battering. So I'm off now. Yes! So the next thing we were going to talk about was the performance aspect in foam rolling, and for that I'm going to hand you over to a friend of mine, Ben Paul.
Thanks, Bob. My name's Ben Paul. I'm a college lecturer at the College of West Anglia. I recently decided to do a study on the effects of foam rolling on performance. But why? Well, it was because of the growing amount of people I saw using it, especially athletes, as a warm-up technique. So I decided to do some of my own research and found 2 studies that looked at foam rolling on performance when used for a warm-up. The studies I looked at was Peacock et al. In 2014 and Healy et al. In 2014. Both studies looked at power events using the vertical jump height. Peacock et al. Found an improvement in vertical height, whereas Healy et al. Didn't find an improvement when foam rolling was used as a warm-up technique. Now, this was inconclusive. But I really enjoy cycling, and I wanted to do a study on endurance. Therefore, I put together a study using 12 time trialists, and they came into the sports lab on 2 occasions. They did a foam rolling warm-up on one occasion, followed by a 10-kilometre time trial on the watt bike. On the second occasion, they just did a normal warm-up on the watt bike without any foam rolling. So the results of my study were that the foam rolling trial increased the time taken to cycle 10 kilometres, It reduced power output when measured on the watt bike, and it also reduced handling flexibility. However, the quadricep flexibility remained the same between both trials, non-foam rolling and foam rolling. Like many other studies on foam rolling and performance, my study found that foam rolling had no significant impact on the time trial performance of cyclists.
The third thing we were going to talk about is pain management and injury rehabilitation. And foam rollers have been associated with that area as well, particularly in management of DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, which is an unusual thing because it's another perfectly normal thing, we all get it. And it's almost become an industry, what with ice baths and magnesium and ginger supplements and post-event soft tissue work, massage. I always tell my clients that there are 49 things they can do for DOMS. 48 of them are called hours, and the 49th one is some moderate exercise. What about the foam rolling then? Is this known compression force going to help with the pain of DOMS? Well, it might do, because what we know with the compression force as well, one of these nerve endings that we stimulate are the pain nerve endings. It hurts. And that also sets up another one of these kind of feedback loops, which aren't mythical but aren't fully understood. And we can get a pain suppressant effect, and it is potentially another spinal nerve reflex, and it's all to do with large C fibres if you want to read about it. But yes, we definitely can potentially get some form of pain suppressant effect by applying direct compression. So your individual response to this apparent pain relief really takes us into the realms of pain management psychology, which would be for another blog. But what about fresh injury? What about if I sustain a muscular soft tissue injury to my calf? Is the foam rolling going to help? Well, in those initial stages, please do not foam roll it. Don't disturb it. It needs to heal. It definitely doesn't need compression force. It's not going to help it. What really is needed is a cascade of soft tissue healing, which goes through a process. Often you hear that phrase scar tissue. Well, it's a bit of an odd phrase. Scar tissue could be a good thing because obviously you need some form of bridging tissue. It's part of the cascade. Do you then get some form of chronic adhesion scar tissue after the injury? Well, yeah, if you look at, again, research, if you look at cadaver research and MRI scanning and ultrasound scanning, yeah, you can have abnormalities within the soft tissue and within muscles post-trauma. Is foam rolling going to influence those abnormalities? Well, there's not much research that would suggest that that's the case. So, Chowdhury, they did some research on what actually happens to an iliotibial band. And this is the old iliotibial band, and you're going to give it a nice compressive force. Remember, it is just a compressive force via the foam roller. What's that going to do to an iliotibial band? Well, they found to get a measurable change in compression and shear within the iliotibial band, you would have to put through 925 kilograms of force. That's like a horse. So to wrap this one up, in terms of prior to a workout or prior to a performance session, do we want you to be foam rolling? Probably not. You should be using that time to do something wiser. Prior to a mobility session, a dedicated mobility flexibility session, should you be foam rolling? You could do. It's not a deal breaker. You could certainly do it without foam rolling, but it may contribute. In terms of rehab and pain management, should you be foam rolling? Again, it's not going to do any harm. It's not a deal breaker. With simple stuff like delayed onset muscle soreness, it could be part of your strategy. With more focused injury management, I'd probably steer clear of it.